This is episode 366 of Jumblethink.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Jumblethink, where we interview dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers all about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we're going to share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Our guest on today's show is Syed Gilani. More about Syed in a moment. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime fan, if you've never subscribed to Jumblethink, now's the time to do it. Head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts, search for Jumblethink, and click subscribe. To make it even easier, if you head on over to jumblethink.com, you'll find links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and more. So head on over and subscribe to the show. Now let's join today's conversation. Hey there, friends. Welcome to Jumblethink. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. We have a great conversation lined up for you today. But before we dive into that, I wanted to take a moment and thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's show. Floxy is your monthly subscription to top-notch graphic design, web development, and even video editing at a low monthly subscription. Best of all, as a listener of Jumblethink, they want to give you 10% off your first month. All you have to do is head on over to Floxy, FLOCKSY.com/Jumblethink. So head on over there and start getting those projects completed. Now, our guest on today's show is Syed Gilani. I am super excited about today's conversation. Syed is the CEO and president of Safr. They are doing some really cool stuff about making reliable and safe transportation for women in this crazy world. Think of it as kind of your Uber or Lyft, but reinventing it for making it safe, really figuring out those pesky little problems about the safety of share riding. Syed's story is much larger and deeper than we could do in a short intro. So let's go ahead and join the conversation with today's guest, Syed Gilani. Our guest today is Syed Gilani. Syed, welcome to Jumblethink.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I've heard so many good things about you and your show, so it's an honor.
Oh, it's very kind of you, and I appreciate that. So we're going to be talking about Safr and what you're building and ride sharing. We're going to be talking about your journey into entrepreneurship and creating really a cool startup and then problem solving. So we're going to have a great conversation today. To kick it off, I want to hear a little bit about your background. How did you get into technology, and which led you to start and build your company?
So thank you. Great question. So I wanted to be a doctor, frankly, growing up. So you know, the med school dream and all that part was part of it. But as it grew, you know, I went to high school and college. I realized that the computer software field is very interesting, and you can create something, you can have it delivered across the world, you can make things different. Something that was, you know, in 1990s, that was a new thing coming up. That gives you an idea of, you know, how old I am, but it was up and coming. I was like, wow, this is interesting. Yeah, and that got me involved into computer sciences, technology side of it. Although I don't have an educational background in computer software, but I got very much excited about this domain, and that led to the journey towards many startups or many ideas, meeting with interesting people like yourself and many others, and to Safr.
Yeah, I grew up. Born in the 80s. I grew up seeing the evolution of media, the evolution of technology, the evolution of communication. We're kind of in a new season of reinvention in a lot of ways. Of, you know, some people would call it. I think we're past the Web 2.0 space now, but a lot of people would say that we are in a distributed world, whether it's how we work, whether it's technology. So we were talking before you jumped on. You didn't go out and just say, hey, I want to start startups. You first started an agency like I did, and And so walk us through that journey of how you got your skills or how you got your bearings in the world of technology and how that kind of led you to Safr.
So I grew up in a business environment. My dad was a businessman. My uncles were into business. Almost everybody around me were in business. So if I had not gone for medicine, that was another field that, business or entrepreneurship is really what I was looking into. So I started off with simple agency from understanding websites. At that time, there were no apps, right? I mean, again, you're talking about
this is pre-WordPress, this is pre-Drupal, this is beautiful hand-coded stuff, right?
Exactly. There were no platforms to code it quickly. So I started off with the websites and simple software systems that can help our customers to do better. Mm-hmm. From there on, we got better and better, and we realized that there is a beautiful world of software development out there, let it be front-facing or the back-end facing or embedded software and so on and so forth. And my family was outsourcing. I'm originally from Pakistan, so we were outsourcing software from bigger companies, Fortune 500 companies, to Pakistan. And that ended up, in the relationship with many clients where we could end up in saving 40, 50, 60% of the operating cost by giving them quality products overseas. And the majority of the companies were looking into that roadmap anyways. And then app work came around, this whole touchscreen, thanks to Steve Jobs and Google guys opening this door. And then the whole ecosystem emerged out of that. Everybody started talking about apps. Everybody started doing apps. Everybody started working on apps. And we got involved into Safr side because we realized that the country I'm from or the region I'm from, majority of the women don't end up in going out and don't end up in becoming part of the economic life cycle of the country or environment of the country because of the lack of transportation. Average household has one car. Normally the guy or the man or the husband or the father would take away their car. When they will come back, they are at the whim of that male figure to go out anywhere and to do anything. So when I came to the United States around 20 years ago, I realized that, with this app out already by that time, of course, and Uber was already out there, we realized that, there is an equal opportunity probably in the gig economy for women and men and just about anybody, right? And coming from the country or the region where there was a lack of transportation, lack of public transportation, I thought, probably in the U.S. it would be much better, and it is, of course, much better by any stretch of imagination. But when we looked at the numbers and we saw that the bigger rideshare companies were not giving equal representation to women, 14 to 20% of the drivers were women. They would only drive during daylight hours. After daylight, they won't drive. Most women won't sit in those cars. They would feel unsafe. The sexual assault and harassment cases have been rampant, still the case. We realized there is an opportunity where we can create a company or a startup, if you will, that can address the need and can provide a choice to women. And those who don't feel comfortable driving and riding with the rideshare, there has to be a different platform, and that was the birthplace of Safr.
So Safr is this, let's just break down exactly what it is that you're building. It's a competitor to Lyft and Uber, but it's highly focused to solve a huge problem. So which came first, saying, hey, we want to do ride sharing, or, hey, we see a problem here and we need to solve it?
So first of all, let me clarify. We are not the competition of Uber and Lyft or any other ride share. If you're working in the same vertical, same market, then fine. We are creating a choice for people. So we are basically either enhancing the existing marketplace by providing a very focused product or basically addressing a specific need as a complementary product which wasn't there to begin with. So we started off with a problem set.
Okay.
It's always the case, right? I mean, you know that more than anybody.
Yeah.
You always start with a problem set. What is the real problem you're trying to solve? Not that, okay, let's build a product, somebody's going to buy it. That never sells.
Yeah. Always think audience first. Your audience is the hero.
Exactly. So when we looked at the numbers, when we looked at the problem, we realized that, okay, there is something that can be addressed. And how that can be addressed, that was still a question.
So the problem that you were seeing, the problem that you wanted to address was simply the safety in ride sharing specifically for women. Is that the exact problem you were seeing, or did it start out as something else and then morph into, hey, this is a deeper problem in this space?
Great question again. The problem of safety doesn't end with safety, right? So it resonates beyond the concept of safety. It goes into the empowerment, whether it be social empowerment or economic empowerment. If I'm feeling unsafe to do what I want to do, then I would probably not be that efficient in my life choices. So this way, my contribution to the society would get directly impacted by the basic notion of safety. So when we realize that because of the lack of safety, because of the lack of safe transportation, you're not giving equal opportunity to 56% of the world's population,
right?
Which is women.
Yes.
And they don't want to go out because they feel unsafe. They don't want to do things that they want to feel unsafe. They don't want to work late at night because they feel unsafe, because how they're going to get home, right? They don't want to work early in the morning because they feel unsafe. They, even during the day, they want to have another female with them in the car because they feel unsafe. Because the concept of rideshare or gig economy and social media overall was basically taking on the old value structures, right? Before we used to say, do not stalk on each other. Now people on Facebook, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, cyber stalking. Yeah,
exactly. Or don't sit in a stranger's car. And with the gig economy comes this whole thing that you just sit in a totally stranger's car. And you're just trusting that those people have a background checked already, or those people will get you to your destination safely. But that wasn't the case. That really wasn't the case. And that was really, really hurting the empowerment side, where women are not either contributing to the GDP properly, or they're unable to do that because of the lack of safety, or if they want to enjoy their life socially, they want to go to party, they want to have a couple of drinks, they want to work late at night. They can't do any of those things because of the lack of safety.
Right.
So that's where Safr was addressing a bigger notion of empowerment, the bigger discourse of empowerment, while addressing the notion of safety. So we say that we are the rideshare focus on women empowerment through safe transportation, because by addressing the safety component, we are basically addressing a much bigger problem globally on the women empowerment side.
Yeah. So a couple of things here. First off, how long ago did you start this? How long has the evolution of this been to market, and how long have you been on market?
So we started off with the idea in 2016. It was an idea. In 2017, really, we came up with a very basic, flimsy beta version of the app to test our hypothesis. We wanted to test certain hypotheses. If women would really like this service to begin with, would they like to wait out for the women driver, because we didn't have 5-minute wait time or 10 minutes wait time like other rideshare? Would they be willing to pay more for the service, or would they prefer us over the competition? So with the beta version, we were able to get some phenomenal results, significant results, very overwhelming results out of this whole beta test that ran for almost a year. Yeah. Then we went back to the drawing board, and we needed to perfect the app and the user experience, because users were trained or I would say more accustomed to the user experience of bigger rideshare companies, with billions and billions and billions of dollars and thousands of engineers working behind. And of course, we were looking at a competition which was much well funded, much better run rate, and better human resources to work on that as compared to ours. So we ended up in creating a platform now, which is comparable to the rideshare companies, gives almost the same experience, but offers a better service by the end of the day. We are operating in Central Florida, moving towards South Florida, opening up Texas and a couple of other regions very soon. So we're growing, but not as fast as we would like to. And of course, we need the support of everyone out there who can help us and who can take us to the next level. Why not?
Yeah, love that for sure. There's a lot we can talk about this, and we're gonna do that in the second segment in a few moments. As we wrap up this first segment, though, we always like to ask a couple questions. The first one being, how do you find purpose in what you do?
Wow, that's a heavy question. Look, we can all make money. We all live our life, whatever our natural life is, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years in this world. And we only live once. We know that.
Yeah.
Either we live for a purpose, which is bigger than you, me, or anybody else out there, or we live for ourselves. I realized at a very young age, if you live for yourself, you die when you die.
Wow.
If you live for your community, you die when your community dies. And if you live for the country, you die when the country dies. But if you live for the humanity, you die when the humanity dies. So you have to decide how long you want to live.
Wow.
And this particular topic is close to my heart because when you look at the world's population and you see 56% of the world's population owns only 2 or 3% of the global wealth.
Mm-hmm.
They make less than men, 38% less than men, and spend 34% more than men on their transportation. Yeah. They sacrifice more than men for the family and for the people around them. And I would say that I wouldn't hesitate to say that women are far more better species than men in every single aspect of metric you can put out. Although we still think that men are stronger and all that, which is nonsense, and I don't think that's true. Women end up in creating great families and great nations, and over centuries and centuries and centuries, or thousands of years, that gender has been put in a specific box of expectations, cultural, social, economic, whatnot, and they had to fight out of those expectations to reach their goal, which shouldn't be the case to begin with from day one. That shouldn't be the case. But unfortunately, that is. So with Safr, this is a very small, minor, tiny effort on our part, and personally on my side, that I don't want to spend the rest of my life by just pursuing smaller goals, which may satisfy my financial needs in the short term or for my life, but may not address the bigger problem that you and me and many others would look into. So I had a choice personally, frankly, that either kick the can down the lane and tell the next generation that, look, this is your world, do what you need to do, or do something about it. Mm. So me, along with my colleagues, we decided that we need to take this on. We need to take this on, and I'm glad, and I'm so proud that one of the best people like Tiberius Vadan, Kelly Davis, Sal Coker, Olivia, and many others, they joined us, and Ramla, they joined us in changing this wrong, righting this wrong that has been happening over centuries. And more and more people joined us. More and more people came on board and said, okay, what can we do together? How can we help you? How can we help raise money? How can we do this part? How can we do that part? So now it's turning into, it's gaining its own momentum, if you will, and more organizations are becoming part of Safr. So we are proud of that.
What is one challenge you are currently working to overcome?
Well, like any startups, money is one problem.
Yeah.
Raising more and more. So that's number one, of course. The second component is, of course, educating people, right? So educating people that there is a real big problem out there, not just in the developing countries, not just when you talk about women empowerment, certainly the mind goes towards Asia or Africa or Middle East to begin with. But that's really not the case. It's a global problem. It's everyone's problem. It's every home's problem. It's every household problem. How do we address that? I mean, either we keep on telling our kids, or especially young girls, that the world is equal for you, and we be lying, because it is not, or we do something about it and correct it. Yeah. And that's the biggest challenge, to educate people and to help them understand. And some men don't get it. Some people don't get it. And that's unfortunate. So we're trying to see that how we can create bring the forces together of the like-minded people who can eventually deliver a really good change around the world. So when we look back, when you are 75 and I'm 75 and 80, and we look back, and we say, well, we did our part. And I think it came out to be just okay.
What's the next big dream, idea, or goal that you have?
So first of all, to make this dream and big goal to meet his objective, right? I mean, you can't think of another big idea or a big goal until you accomplish one. So I'm super focused, laser focused on this one, frankly, for the next few years or many years or even the rest of my life. If it takes me that long, I hope not. I hope the pace of the change in the world gets faster and greater, which is now. I mean, remember, the apps used to take a lot more time, and now you can turn out an app or app store fairly quickly, right? Yep. So same thing, we believe that it can resonate in the change factor when it comes to women, when it comes to LGBTQ community, when it comes to minorities, when it comes to African American, many others. When you look at it's about equal opportunity. Nobody's asking over here. I'm not asking that give one gender more than other, or one segment more, or one orientation more than other. I'm just simply saying, treat everybody equal and give them equal opportunity, and that's about it. And it's not that you have to give them a handout for an equal opportunity. You just need to reduce the barriers for them so they can perform to the fullest of their potential. So it's not like, okay, you got to give them some government subsidy. No, I'm not in favor of that at all. I'm just simply saying is that the society and our society has created some really ridiculous barriers for many, many people over years and years and years and years. And those barriers, if once eliminated and given equal opportunity for everybody to grow, you will see and you will find out, frankly, that women would do far, far, far superior a job than men.
We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to go deeper into the world of Safr, hear more about what they're doing and how you can be a part of it. We'll be right back. Hey there, it's Mike. If you're like most small business owners, you may struggle with getting everything you need done in the day. And a lot of times, one of the things you're looking for is great graphic design. Maybe a new logo, flyers, brochures, business cards, even a new website or email campaign designed for you. You can't fit it into your day, so you need some help. Our friends over at Floxy are there to help you. So whether you need a new video, some graphic design, the perfect copy, or a new website, Floxy's there to help you. And as a listener of Jumblethink, they're going to give you 10% off your first month with a 14-day money-back guarantee. All you have to do is head on over to floxy.com/jumblethink. That's Floxy, FLOCKSY.com/jumblethink to get 10% off your first month. So head on over and get your perfect project completed for you. Now let's return to the conversation. We are back with Syed. All right, before we dive into the conversation and continue talking about Safr, how can people find Safr?
So Safr, you can go online, www.gosafr.com. Or you can download our app, Rideshare app. from the App Store or the Google Play Store. If you want to be our driver, and you can download our Drive Safer app from Google and App Store. You can follow us on Facebook with Safr or Go Safer, and Twitter the same way, same handle. And you can follow us on LinkedIn as well, or Instagram, as well.
Awesome. And Safr is spelled Safr in this case.
Yeah.
I am really fascinated. You set out to solve this problem about the safety of women. Is that the only group that you are serving? Are you serving any other marginalized communities? Is it mostly just focused on women's safety?
We do not discriminate based on any gender, race, background, color, and so on and so forth. So we have male drivers, we have LGBTQ drivers, we have all the drivers. Anybody can register us with us drivers and the riders as well. So we have drivers and riders from all communities. However, we are focused on women empowerment through safe transportation, and our marketing and focus is towards that. So majority of our drivers, I would say more than 95% are women.
Okay.
So it's overwhelming majority over there with women.
So there are two sides of the safer side of things, really, when it comes to keeping people safe, and that is, of course, your drivers and then your riders. It seems like the driver's side would be, while there's a lot of ride-sharing companies that don't do this well, would be the easier place to really come up with healthy policies. Walk us through your strategy for creating safe environments by the drivers you select and how you select them so that you create that safe environment.
Great question. So where we differentiate, we really think very hard and long on a pre-ride experience or and then during ride and post-ride experience. In the pre-ride experience, we want to make sure that our drivers are fully vetted. So we not only do a thorough background check, really, really detailed, expensive background check, but also we meet with every single driver in person.
Oh, wow.
And I know that would beg a question that, okay, how are you going to scale? How are you going to do this? You have thousands of drivers, and we have thousands of drivers. We have 13,000 plus drivers. But we have created a very innovative mechanism within our organization that allows us to reach out to people and meet with them in person.
Okay.
And that basically creates another sense of relationship between us and the potential drivers. We don't want them to consider themselves as a driver. We want them to feel themselves as part of Safr, so they have a responsibility towards it. Second part is that women, by the virtue of gender, they are less hostile. 1 out of 100 sexual assault happened by women. 1 out of 50 assault happened by women. I think statistics or something like that. So by the virtue of statistic, you reduce the probability of any assault. Women are more caring, if you will, that way. And majority of the people who register with us, they pass through the background checks and in-person meetings and so on and so forth. Then in addition to that, we have a gender preference feature within the app. So our rider and drivers can select the gender they want to pick up or they want to ride with. So this way, the requests are automatically routed towards your gender preference. And then we have in-app security features like SOS button and so on and so forth. We are creating more innovative features through artificial intelligence and machine learning that works on the back-end side of it. And we monitor most of the rides as well, and system monitors the rides as well. So there are a lot of features we're adding and continue to add that allows us to become a safe platform. In addition to that, we have a feature called Color Match, which ensures that you're getting into the right car. So it basically prohibits you from getting into the wrong car because we show you a unique color. A driver is shown a unique color. That color has to match before the ride begins. Okay,
so basically the driver and the passenger show each other their phone or device, and it says, oh, this is forest green and that's forest green. They match. Okay, we're good.
Yep.
That's quite an interesting and innovative way to approach it.
It's a simple way. It's an idea that, what happens is that when there is an unfortunate incident with the rideshare, most they come back with is saying, oh, that driver was never with us,
Yeah.
Right, or wrong car. But who is to verify that was true or not?
Yeah.
And how did that person get into the wrong car to begin with?
Yeah.
So we eliminated that part with this color match feature.
I spend quite a bit of time in New York City, my favorite place in the world, and I know the difficulty it is in a metro center like that, where you might have 10 people getting into a car at the same corner or more to take the wrong car or be connected. I remember being in front of TikTok Diner right across from Madison Square Garden, and a driver comes up to pick us up, and it was my wife and our daughters and I, and rolls down the window, Mike? And I'm like, yeah. And it was a different Mike completely. So we get up there and he's like, oh, you didn't say you need a booster seat or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's right here. And he's like, oh, we're the wrong, and so I get what it's like to, in that kind of thing. And I'm very tech literate. I'm very savvy on using the apps and everything like that. It's still easy to get things mixed up.
Oh, yeah, and that happens quite often, right? So especially if you arrive at the airport and you have 10 cars in front of you.
Yeah.
Where's your car?
Yeah.
So that's where, we want to make sure that this matter is addressed intelligently, and the color match came into play. And we're adding more features. We're not done yet. So we're adding more features. We know that this is an ongoing process for us to be able to remain on the forefront of this change.
Well, and I love that, I was going to ask next, how are you keeping the rider safe? But you've shared a lot of the different technologies, the tools, the innovations that you're really creating that have created a safe environment, not only for the driver, but also for the rider. So I think we've answered that question on that side of it. I look at what you're doing, and I find it really fascinating from the standpoint of rideshare viability, especially in a COVID world. COVID is not being kind to ride sharing, but even beyond that, you look at some of the other players in the ride sharing space, and they're upside down when it comes to their financials. They have big VC money behind them, but they're actually not profitable. I wonder for you, how are you navigating those complexities, both on the COVID side, trying to build out a service that is not congruent to some of the lockdowns and the things that we have to deal with COVID, and on the flip side, navigating the sustainability and building a business that is sustainable, where so many of these ride-sharing apps and tools have not done it yet?
So, very smart question. So, there's a reason behind it why other rideshare companies are negative. I think if I can recollect properly, the average rider takes 2 rides per quarter.
Okay.
So imagine if you have a coffee shop and I show up once a quarter or twice a quarter. Would you consider me your really regular? I don't think so.
No.
So with us, our average rider takes 2.5 rides a week. So the difference is huge.
Okay.
Because the platform stickiness, they end up in losing almost every driver within a year.
Wow.
Every driver.
Yeah.
So they are on constant recruitment of more drivers. And I can see their gameplay because they are looking into global domination. They want to get more people as a transportation platform on their platform. So eventually when they introduce autonomous, they can get into quote unquote cushioning their profit, the way they say it.
Yeah.
We are not looking into that. We think that it's very important to have a human touch. It's very important to have a very good quality ride experience with another caring fellow human person in the car. Mm-hmm. And majority of our drivers end up in staying with us. Majority of our riders end up in staying with us. So when we go into those numbers, it helps a lot because that's where your customer acquisition cost is where your expense is. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. Rideshare market will remain negative for a long time.
Right.
And the new business model introduced by Amazon at a certain point was that red is the new black, right? So as long as you're growing, your growth rate is, let's say, 40% or 50%, and let's say your deficit by 20, 25%, might as well, you're just fine because you can continue growing because you're growing. And Amazon did that for, I think, 10, 15 years when I think Amazon Prime was $1 or $1.99 or $2.99. When they got the critical mass on the platform, and that critical mass was used to the delivery service or their services, they flipped the switch to $9.99. Now it's $12.99.
Yeah.
And each every dollar or cent that adds up to hundreds of millions of people, that really adds up to the bottom line.
Yeah.
So that's where we think that ride shares are looking into. So that's where we think that Safr's concentration would be to get as much of the market share as possibly can.
We, in the first segment, talked about one of the struggles that you having is scaling nationwide. Just trying to do that alone, let alone globally, is a hard challenge to face in the journey of building this out. You've chosen to start in Florida, expand out to Texas. Why there? Why not look at a big urban plex like New York or LA or Denver or Chicago or Atlanta? Why start in Florida and then move into Texas?
So moving into secondary cities or tier 2, tier 3 cities is our strategy.
Okay.
Tier 1 cities would require a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, we can spend $100 million in New York City alone, and New York won't even work. It's a big city. It requires huge density, huge expenses whatsoever. So I don't think that at this stage it's wise for us to open bigger cities like Chicago, like Houston, like Miami, even if we want to go that route, or New York or London, unless we have a better understanding of what we're doing and we have much deeper pockets to burn through cash for those cities.
Yeah.
So the strategy that we have is working, and by Florida, because Orlando specifically, because it's the biggest family destination in the world.
Okay.
I mean, it was, or it still hopefully be, but once coronavirus is gone, right now the global situation around COVID-19, it's so unprecedented that nobody has thought about it. Nobody knows how to deal with it. And it's just so unfortunate what's happening around the world with this COVID-19 situation, and the global economies are shrinking. There is a level of uncertainty. But with us and with Safr, frankly, we are actually growing in this situation because more and more women are joining us as a driver. And more women are actually reaching out to us for the kids' transportation come September, when they want to go to school and they want to put their kids in school buses. So there is a demand segment that's originating for us in this market.
You mentioned there that you have a lot of women that are signing up to be drivers right now. I am curious, as I looked through the website, as I researched, I saw that you actually pay better than a lot of the other sources. So talk to us a little bit about how you're able to pay more than some of the other rideshare solutions out there.
So number one, we are a little bit more expensive than our competition or other rideshare companies out there. So by mathematics alone, 80%, and second, we give 80% to the drivers as compared to other rideshare companies where they take 40% in certain markets as well. We give 80% to the drivers, plus 80% of our riders tip. Average tip, 15%.
Wow.
So that adds to the bottom line. So if a driver is number one, fare is higher, not lower, not $5, not $3, but higher. Plus they're making 80% of that. Plus they're getting a tip. So per ride earning goes much higher than other rideshare companies.
Super, super cool. What's the big vision? You are in a couple markets now. Where would you like to see yourselves at the end of 2020? Where would you guys like to see Safr go in the next year after that, 2021? What's the vision for the next couple months?
So we have recently partnered with NFL Alumni Association, and we are so proud of that. And with that great partnership that we have established, that's opening up new partnerships across the country. And with those partnerships on board, we believe that we're going to opening up in a lot more places than these two or three that we are operating in,
Yeah.
and at much faster pace. So we believe that within the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be in more cities across the U.S. and more cities across the world. A lot of people are reaching out to us for licensing opportunities across the nation and across the world. A lot of people are reaching out for partnership opportunities with us. A lot of brands are reaching out to us and seeing how they can provide certain in-car experience with us. And many other organizations are reaching out. So with that kind of support, and we're thankful for that kind of support, we believe that we have something at hand that can translate into a rapid growth across the world.
Remind us one more time how people can find and connect with what you are building.
So please do visit us at www.gosafr.com or reach out to us on Facebook. Safr is our handle. Same is on Twitter and Instagram. Please look out for us, reach out, message us, email us at info@gosafr.com if you are interested in working with us or if you have an idea that can work. We're also looking into, frankly, expanding our platform to all women entrepreneurs across the U.S. and around the world so they can benefit from our platform at no cost to them. So this way they can benefit from us.
Super cool. Well, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, it's rapid fire questions. We'll be right back. I am so excited about next week's guests, and I wanted to let you know who they are and why you should listen to these conversations. On Tuesday, our guest is Adrienne Smith. She is a professional women's football player. She is an entrepreneur starting a killer company, and she acted in Orange is the New Black. We're going to be talking about football, women's sports. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, a little bit about acting, and much, much more. You're not going to want to miss that conversation. And then later in the week, our guest is Lauren Swickard. She is a producer, a writer, and an actress in Hollywood. It is a really fun conversation because she has a new movie coming out on Netflix that is a Christmas movie, a very fun Christmas movie in which she acts with her husband in it. It was one of the first movies that Hollywood produced during COVID. We're going to be talking about creating, producing, and acting in a movie in the world of COVID. We're going to be talking about the world of creativity and story, and we're going to be talking about a new project that she's getting ready to announce, and you're going to want to hear about that too. So join us next week with two powerful conversations, kicking off the week with Adrienne Smith, and we're closing it with Lauren Swickard. You're not going to want to miss these conversations. Now let's jump into rapid fire questions.
Levez seulement le bras pour mettre l'aiguille sur le disque. Mettez le contact, reposez votre bras et attendez.
Good.
We are back with Syed Gilani, and we're going to do rapid fire questions. Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
Yes, sir.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Doctor.
What is one tip you'd give someone with a big idea or dream and they don't know where to start?
Think big, act small. So cut your dream in smaller portions and chewable portions and start chewing one at a time.
What is one change you'd like to see in the world?
Equal opportunities for everybody.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Someone who tried, or at least tried, to make that change of equal opportunity for everyone.
Where do you find inspiration?
Almost in everyone around me, because I feel like they have a lot to contribute, and they are contributing a lot, and I learn a lot from people.
What is one book you think every dreamer should read?
This is a good strategy book, that The Grand Strategy of Byzantine Empire.
Cool. I've not heard of that one. I can't wait to check it out.
So it's a grand strategy of Byzantine Empire. Byzantine Empire was the smallest empire between the empires, with the capital of Constantinople at that time. Mm-hmm. And it did survive more than 800 years after the fall of the Roman Empire.
Wow.
Even it was much smaller than the Persian Empire and the Ottoman Empire and other empires around, surrounded by them. but they were able to keep themselves afloat for much, much longer than the Roman Empire. And there is a huge strategy and a big learning, opportunity for companies that are smaller fighting with the bigger companies.
Love that. That's super cool. I'll definitely be checking that out. What is one trend you're currently excited about?
Rapid digitalization that has happened within the COVID world now. Mm-hmm. I think coronavirus has introduced, we were all going towards the digital world anyways, very, very fast, but this has really changed the pace of how the digitalization is going to happen and is happening around us.
What is one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out?
How difficult it is to raise money and fight with bigger companies.
Yes, so true. If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'd be probably a cardiologist somewhere. But I love what I do. Honestly, I absolutely love what I do, and I don't consider it work. It's my passion, and if I could live again, I would do the same thing over and over again.
And our final rapid fire question today is, what is one dream you're still wanting to fulfill in your own life?
So I don't know if you've read about me. I write a lot.
Yeah.
I read a lot. So I think in my old age, I would like to be a professor and teach other young folks to and show them how they can become successful in their life, and teach them from my experiences how they can avoid some mistakes.
Love that. Super, super. Well, I just hope that you can do that one day, because I'm super impressed with your passion and your heart for others. I think that you have a lot to share with this world, and being a professor would be a great way to do that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, one of these days, once probably we'll reconnect. I mean, we've been in touch, of course, but once we reconnect when it's 70, 75, then probably we both would be professor by that time.
And as we wrap up, we always like to leave our guests have the final thought. What is your final thought that you want to leave all of us with today?
Look, I want to say this because of the coronavirus, that many people are losing hope, or many people don't know what would be the future like, and how they will be able to go through this tough time. I always say, look, these things happen because the situation wants you to grow bigger and larger, and this is part of life. There is a poet in Asia who once said that, the opposite wind blows only to make you fly higher, not lower. Yeah. So all this opposite wind that is flying against us right now is not to bring us down, it's to make us go higher. So for us as humans, we need to learn from it, improve on it, and come out as successful a species in this world, and come up with a better species. This COVID-19 has also taught us that this virus does not discriminate, right? So if the virus does not discriminate, then why we discriminate between each other? And we should all be equal, and we should all be having a better, loving relationship with each other than what it has been over many, many years.
Syed, it's been so much fun having you on. Super excited about what you're building. Can't wait to watch it all unfold and see your success for the years to come. We wish you the best, and thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I wish you and your listeners well, and I hope everyone stays safe and healthy. And I hope in 2021 and even later part of 2020 bring prosperity to their lives. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank Syed for joining us on today's conversation here at Jumblethink. His links are in the episode notes. Go check out the app and go try them out. I think you're going to like them. Now, for my final takeaway on today's conversation. So often it is easy to get trapped in the concept of, if I'm going to do something big, I have to invent a new space. I have to invent a new product, a service, or share a message that's never been shared before. That's a really hard task to live up to. Sometimes the best things we can do is find a problem within the current system and reinvent it. And that is what Syed and their team at Safr has done. Instead of going out and saying, how can we create a new app that's never been done and invent a new space, they said, we have some problems in the rideshare space. What if we were the company? What if we were the team? What if Syed was the person to create a new space in that space to create a safe space for women and riders everywhere? Now, you might have an idea that is an iterative idea, an idea where you're iterating on a concept, a strategy, a message, a product, a service, and you may go, well, it's already been done, so it's not a significant thing. And yet, your little change, your little tweak, your little adjustment could be the very thing that creates a new space for you, that changes the market, that changes the game, and creates a business, creates a concept, a message, a change in our culture that really impacts lives in a big way. My challenge is simple. Don't just credit those things. Instead, maybe push into them. Step out. Step into what could be. By making those adjustments, by making those small changes that reinvent an already established space. Here's the deal, though. Whether your dream is to start the next big thing, or to build a business that you just love, or to go do the hobby turn into a job, it is something that is significant. It's deep within you, and you're created to do it. My challenge is simple. You've got to move forward. You've got to chase those things. You've got to step into the things you're created to do. But it's up to you. Thanks again for tuning into Jumbo Think. Now it's your turn to get out there, to dream big, and to change the world around you.
Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.